everyone, and welcome back to Get Going Travel. We hope our channel can inspire you to reach your travel goals step by step.
We wanted to provide some insight on how we plan for this whole trip, and also hopefully we can give you some ideas should you want to start planning a big trip like this.
In today's video, we'll be talking about hotels and accommodation.
So whenever we tell someone that we're moving to Australia, but before we get there we're traveling for 2 months, the first question is usually, oh, so are you backpacking? That's not necessarily what we're doing, so we just wanted to outline how we decided to book our hotels and accommodation along the way.
Since we'll be traveling to 9 different countries and spending a year in Australia, we looked at a lot of different accommodations. We're going to break that down by accommodation type and location.
So we knew that finances and budget played a big part in booking our accommodation. We knew for the more expensive countries like Copenhagen, we would look at a hostel, where if we were staying in Thailand or Vietnam, we look more into a hotel because we're getting more for our money.
One thing I do want to point out is the fact that we are going to be traveling as a couple. That means that we're able to share hotel rooms, which also means sharing the costs. We were able to stay in some hotels that if I was traveling by myself, I probably wouldn't have been able to afford.
Throughout our trip, we'll be staying in hostels, hotels, and Airbnbs. So let's get started with the hostels. A great website to use to search for availability is Hostel World. The site has reviews, photos, amenities information, basically a one-stop shop. It makes it easy to book right through their site after creating an account.
We were able to find affordable and, from what we can tell from pictures on the internet, nice hostel accommodations in Copenhagen, Grenada, and Singapore. We even got a private room in Singapore, so we're excited. Yeah, it's very small. Hostels made sense for us on a variety of different levels. Oftentimes they just tend to be cheaper. They also usually have kitchens, so we'll be able to cook some of our meals, which will help with the budget. And it's a really good way for us to meet people along the way.
Moving on to hotels. We'll be staying in budget hotels for the majority of our trip. While we were living in the UK and doing our travels around Western Europe, we became a big fan of the Accor Hotels Brand. We stayed at a lot of Ibis hotels during our trip. So when we looked at our 2 months here, we thought, let's check out some other Ibis in our locations. We'll be staying in an Ibis or a Novotel in France, India, a little bit of Thailand, and Hong Kong. We definitely recommend checking out Accor Hotels if you're looking for a good budget option, but a step up from a hostel. For our stays in Thailand, Vietnam, and Japan, we use sites like Google, Booking.com to search for different availability, to check out the reviews for budget hotels, and then book through their own sites. When we were looking into booking our accommodation in Thailand, there were a lot of different neighborhoods and a lot of different areas, and we found a great website that sort of broke down each neighborhood and the vibe that you were looking for at your hotel. So the link to the Nerd Nomads blog is in the description below. Be sure to check that out if you're looking to book some accommodation in Thailand. I guess Bangkok specifically.
Very much Bangkok specifically. And finally, our stays in the Airbnbs in Australia. Finding the right accommodation once we arrived in Australia was really something we went back and forth on a lot. We saw tips for working holiday visa holders to look on Gumtree, domain.co.au, and realestate.co.au to check out flat shares and options for flat rentals. Because we'll be working and living in Australia, we needed a setup that was somewhat normal. We'll need a kitchen, we'll need laundry, public transport proximity, and
Wi-Fi.
Oh yeah. We've both been to Sydney, but it was 4 going on 5 years ago, so we really don't know the city that well. We went off recommendations from friends and coworkers and decided we're gonna hop around from a few different Airbnbs to check out different neighborhoods and see what suits us. Something that we learned is that if you book a stay for over 28 days on Airbnb, you are eligible for discounts. So that is helping our budget tremendously while we're in Australia. So far, we've booked 3 different Airbnbs in 3 different neighborhoods within Sydney. We're looking at this from a financial perspective, like we're paying a monthly rent. In fact, all 3 of the Airbnb bookings we made are cheaper than our current apartment rent in the US. So we kind of had to move to Sydney, right?
Not bad. All right, so quick recap. We're staying in hostels, hotels, and Airbnbs. We use the websites and blogs listed in our description, so be sure to check those out to get some ideas. We at least would recommend booking a few months in advance once you have your flights booked so you can get the best deals possible. In our next video, we're going to talk a bit about how we're staying connected with our cell phones and what plane we'll be on. We're getting ready for the big trip. We leave in about a month, which is hard to believe. If you thought that this video was helpful, please throw us a like and definitely subscribe, as we'll be posting more videos throughout the trip. Also, please follow us on Instagram. We'll be posting pictures there every day once our trip starts.
Not every day before then.
So thanks. Be sure to subscribe and get notified when those next videos are posted.